The METUS Tech Show.
Welcome to the METUS Tech Show, a show for HVAC professionals by HVAC professionals.
The METUS Tech Show.
So, Trey, I noticed that this morning's breakfast didn't have any biscuits and gravy.
Very disappointing.
I know. So, what is so special about biscuits and gravy? Because being from up north, we don't see that.
We don't see
Yeah,
it. No.
yeah, I understand.
No, you
you have
don't.
the correct consistency and depends on the sausage they put in it. Now most restaurants get creative with it. Add some, a fried chicken or something with it, or put it on top of open biscuit and with chicken and gravy, and then we add that also to our grits and
Grits. Okay, grits is a whole other thing. We'll come back to the grits.
Now, is that the same gravy that they put on country fried chicken, country fried steak?
Yes.
Basically the
You
same.
have to have
right?
the white gravy though.
Yeah.
You don't bring brown gravy in the South. I mean, that's an insult.
Help me out here. Hey, help me out here. Explain to me how you make a white gravy with biscuits and you don't have any meat.
They have meat
Well, no, they
sauce?
have
No,
meat.
it's
Has
got
sausage in it. Yeah, the perfect
Yeah.
gravy has sausage in it.
Do you make the gravy at home?
Oh yes.
So-
I haven't done it in a long time. It's not something you just whip up in the morning and do every day.
So,
but
how do you start making the gravy?
we put a little flour in it, a little milk, you in a frying pan, and with a little bit of water, and then get the consistency.
It's called the roux, I think.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Get the consistency, and then
It is.
Then you add, that's once you get that stir into the consistency, and then you get the, chop up your, put your seasonings in, depending how hot you want it, your peppers, and then you pretty much can add all kinds of different things now.
Usually it's like crumbled sausage.
Yeah.
Right. And the sausage you added in, it's already cooked, or you cook it in that?
No, you already cooked. It's
You already
cooked.
cooked.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the sausage takes a whole lot longer. Yeah.
And so I guess you can put that gravy over anything, as you mentioned.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
not just biscuits.
Yeah, we use it for. People eat it for brunch and all
So,
kinds of different
so
things.
it's like a staple you throw in your refrigerator and you want to whip together something quick.
Yeah, you can, but it's better hot. It's better
Oh, yeah.
when you first make it, because it's like some things. Is the consistency is not the same once you refrigerate it and try to rewarm it. It's still good, but
No.
not as good as the original.
Would you add this gravy to grits and give grits actual flavor?
Oh yeah, do it all the time.
I'm waiting for that.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because this is hard.
I
This
don't
is hard
like
stuff.
grits. I like the gravy. I like the biscuits and gravy. The gravy's very good,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm just not a fan of grits.
Yeah, we do that for sure, and then with the butter and those kind of things.
Butter
know-
makes everything
Oh
better.
yeah,
Yeah, butter makes, yeah.
And we also have butter in the gravy mixture itself.
But the thing that confuses me about grits, it's like tofu. Everyone's saying, I made some tofu. Yeah, what'd you make it? I made it taste like meat. Well, why don't you just eat meat? I made grits. What'd you make grits? Well, I made it taste like shrimp. Well, why are you always
Shrimp
trying
tastes
to
like
add
shrimp.
taste to something? Because it does.
What is a grit?
I don't know.
It's corn.
Yeah.
It's just cornmeal.
Yeah, cornmeal.
It's white cornmeal. So I have there's a Portuguese dish that uses yellow cornmeal. Right, and it's ground to different consistencies, but I don't want to go there. But
That's called grats.
But you have to add stuff to it to
Yeah.
make it taste good.
Tastes good.
Yeah.
It's like tofu. You got to add stuff to it to make it taste good.
Yeah, not to get off topic here, but
yeah.
I prefer plant-based beef. My cows eat plants, and then they turn into beef. So can you use? Well, speaking of beef, could you use beef instead of pork?
I guess you could. It could be something different. Yeah.
Well, in the military, we had that SOS.
Oh yeah,
That was
I've heard
chipped
about
beef.
that. Yeah,
It was
yeah.
chipped beef, which I always thought it was the same as the gravy, but it's different, totally different.
Oh
dish.
yeah.
I remember I was
Corned
up,
beef or
I was up north in a hotel, and it was breakfast time, and this guy came in and sat down at the table next to me, and he was with his friend there, and the guy asked him, goes, "Where'd you get that?" And he goes, "Up there where the biscuits and gravy should have been." So I guess down south, it's every breakfast has biscuits and gravy.
Yeah, but it's funny. I've been out in California and seen it as well at a hotel. I was shocked.
No.
Yeah. So
At the hotel.
Yeah, California's a lot of fruit and stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
Way to ruin a breakfast.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. It's just, I guess it's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Anyway, Trey,
Yes.
let's introduce yourself and tell us what you do, and
Okay.
we'll go from there.
I'm Trey Whetstone. I'm the ancillary product manager. I've been with Mitsubishi for roughly almost 10 years. I originally started in the mechanical design, the engineering group, and transferred over to product management for the accessories about 4.5 years ago, and I handle all the residential and commercial accessory products. So that's pretty much it. I manage all those and work with all the sales guys and service and vendors, vendor relationships and those kind of things, and bring product that is useful and beneficial for our METUS product, our indoor and outdoor units.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and welcome everybody to the METUS Tech Show. Today we're going to talk about accessories for the Mitsubishi products, and we brought Trey in here. We have Roland Wager,
from the Orlando office.
and Steve Pimentel from Southborough, Boston office, and I'm Paul Shav. So welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us. So Trey, let's start with the indoor. Let's go through some of the accessories available for indoor equipment.
Yes, so for indoor, we have the Revco and the Blue Diamond pumps. Revco offers a Gobi 2, which is very useful for your wall-mounted units, where you don't have to take the wall-mounted unit off to work on the pump itself. Like, you just take that cover. It's a nice little slim fascia kit that fits underneath. They're very quiet, and they also offer the combi as well. And the combi, both pumps go up to 120,000 BTUs, so they cover all our indoor products.
All right, so if I can't have a gravity drain,
yes,
Revco's a good option.
Yeah, and also the same with Blue Diamond. Blue Diamond's coming out with a slimmer fascia kit as well to go underneath the wall mount.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, but those are all going to be up to 18,000 BTU because it's going to be using the Micro Blue, and Blue Diamond has the 3 pumps as well. They have the Micro Blue that goes up to 18,000 BTUs, and they have the Maxi that goes up to 48,000, and then they have the Mega, which is more the Mega is more the commercial, indoor pump.
Do you happen to know? I hate to put you on the spot, but do you happen to know the limits, the pump up limits, lift, off the top of your head?
I don't know off the top of my head as far as the horizontal and vertical, the vertical and horizontal lift.
Do you know where I can find that information?
Yes, it's on my link drive.
I've never heard of that.
Shocking.
Something new?
Trickery.
Yeah.
So you go to my link
Didn't take
drive.
long, yeah.
And the nice thing is the nice thing about it is every indoor unit has all the accessories attached to it in my link drive. So, and outdoor as well. So if you click on it before, we've worked on that last 4 years with marketing and tried to make it where, hey, when you click on that indoor or you click on that outdoor unit, then all those things are visible because you know that for the most part nobody's going to go to look at the submittal and look and see what options are available.
That's a great option on Link Drive. I noticed that within the past year that's all been updated.
Right. Yeah, because like 4 years ago that wasn't even like that. Now you see pretty much everything.
That was one of the projects I first worked on with marketing from the very beginning, to work on that. And we're getting better. We still got a lot of things to clean up, but we're working on that.
Good.
Right.
So the ID drain sensor.
Yes, so that's the Rector-Seal SS610E, and the reason for that is our wall-mounted units doesn't come with any kind of overflow protection. We're still working out with that with the factory. We've been requesting that for years, but hopefully we'll get to that point. But for right now, that basically what it is it ties into the system and completely shuts it off once it gets to a certain level that's possibly about to overflow and cause some major issues.
Now, does that work with a float mechanism, or is that just a couple of probes?
Yeah, probes.
Pins. Okay. So that shorts out and shuts the system off.
And that comes in handy because there are some jurisdictions where code requires a piece of air conditioning equipment to have some type of safety, condensate safety.
Well, Florida.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is a lot of our other products have built-in stuff, but this is our wall-mounted products. This is pretty much what we only recommend just for our wall-mounted.
Yeah,
but it's the only thing that it doesn't have any kind of safety. So
and that's a tough thing too because wall mount units are just a wet environment all the time.
Right.
So past switches that we've used in the past had a lot of issues where they would prematurely shut the system off because it's a wet environment. It's a very tight, wet environment in that wall unit. But this is a newer switch, right?
Right.
So
it's been out for a couple years now.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a good switch. We're also looking at mechanical options as well. But but they're tied into the S1, S2. Basically, shut the system off if they recognize any issue. You know?
Right. In all of these, the Revco, the Blue Diamonds, and obviously the indoor drain sensor is just for wall units. But for the most part, this can apply to M&P equipment, city multi equipment. It doesn't matter.
Oh,
what
yes,
it is.
yes. They reach both. You know, cover all the indoor units. I mean, and like the Revco and Blue Diamond. Of course, the Gobi and the Slimmer Fascia kit is only for wall mounts, but the Combi and all the other ones can be used for situations for silica sets, horizontal ducted, any kind of other products we offer. You know, so yeah.
So what about the CMA kits for the PVA and PVFY?
Yeah, so years past, we recognized that in the downflow position that we were having some issues where possibly, you know, condensation was flowing down the A coil and maybe getting into the duct. So basically what this does is guide the all that condensation coming from the A coil to directly into the drain pan in the downflow position.
So it's like a splash guard type?
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
okay.
And what does CMA stand for? Do you know?
Condensate management kit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or accessory, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Beautiful.
And in the downflow kit we offer as well for the SVZ, it's basically the CMA, but it also has brackets on the that's in addition to the CMA. And the reason for that is the PVAs and the old MVZs and the SVZs, as you know, replaced the MVZs. They all had a cage in it to hold the coil. So when we reduced the SVZ by 10 or 12 inches, they reduced that cage. So when you're put in a downflow position, now you have nothing to support the front of the coil and the drain pan. So these brackets come in, you attach them in there in addition. So that's why there's a downflow kit and then there's a CMA kit. CMAs are for PVFYs and PVAs, and then these are for the SVZ.
And for those who don't know, the PVA, the PVFY, the SVZ, those are what I think I would consider more like a standard air handler.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Traditional air handler.
Yeah.
So most of our units come with a standard washable filter. Then you have an odor cartridge. And you also have a
Microparticle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the microparticle filter would be an accessory that you would buy.
Yes.
Doesn't come with the wall unit.
So the new GS is gonna the new GS models they're gonna have these microparticle filters, and it's supposed to provide a little extra filtration.
Yeah.
And they mount at the bottom of the nanoplatinum filter. So the nanoplatinum filter is the washable filter, and then they mount there for extra protection and more filtration. We also have other filters we've been carrying for a long time as well, anti-allergy and those things. So they're similar to that, but it's a little bit better filtration. It's supposed to help filter from, I think it's 0.3 to 2.5 microns. So you know, that we have those items. And
the microparticle filter, are they washable or?
No, they're not washable.
They're just a one-time use. And how long do they last?
I don't know completely offhand. I would probably say up to, good 6 months or so. Or
So maybe we just say a season.
Yeah.
And it all depends on the environment.
There's a lot of variable.
Yeah.
Environment probably has a factor.
If you have a lot of grease.
With any filters, I mean, it's just the environment they live in, right?
And the usage. Do you get a lot of heavy usage? Is it really hot? You've been running this for 3-4 months?
Right.
Yeah.
And I try and stress that in class all the time. The frequency of cleaning heat pumps, any HVAC system, you have to clean these systems. You have to wash them. It's like I said, the wall units are kind of a damp environment, so that has to be washed. Drain pan, coils, filters, all of that replaced. Yeah. Awesome.
And for our ceiling concealed ducted units, we have some filter options there as well.
Yeah, we have the filter boxes. And the nice thing about that is a lot of our other filtration. It's you're looking at maybe MERV 4 or 5, and then possibly some other options is like up to 10 is the most. But this offers us MERV 13, as we know with the years we've faced in COVID and those kind of things. Filtration has been a big topic, and some areas require a MERV 13 filtration. So, and we're also looking at other products as well. We're trying to implement MERV 13 filters. But yeah, these give a great option to do that.
Yeah.
And they're just your typical pleated filters. They're 2-inch, 4-inch, and 1-inch, and you can just replace them. Buy them at your local supply store and replace them.
And for our technicians out there, for our audience, I just want everybody to keep in mind, when you're putting any filtration on our ducted units, you have to account for pressure loss.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? You have to size that ductwork accordingly. Nice round turns. You don't want to be running a ton of flex. But filtration, depending on the MERV size and the thickness of that filter, you have to account for pressure loss. It's really important.
Totally agree.
All right. What about electric heat kits for PVA, SVZ?
So we have it's extra supplemental heat for areas in very cold climates where maybe the heat pump's just not getting to that heating point that you need, and it's just a super cold climate. Of course, in the South, you it's not really used much, but up north and the Boston areas and New York and Maine, and you need that extra supplemental heat. So we offer many different KW sizes to fit most of our PVAs, PVFYs, and also our SVZ residential models. So
and we have a lot of our listeners know already, because in the Northeast they're adding backup heat. And if you're using the electric heat kits, you have CN24-1 and CN24-2.
Correct.
So you have that 2 stages of additional auxiliary heat.
Right.
If needed, but we also got some hyperheat units where
Right.
you're not going to need those
Correct.
resistance heat to come on nearly as much as they used to in the older system.
And they work with the heat pump. It's not one or the other.
Right.
Just to so everybody knows that. You're using the heat pump and the electric heat to assist to get that temperature up to set.
And it's powered by the indoor unit itself. But also you have the SPTV1 that also you can use an alternate power source where you don't have to power.
That's important. Yeah, so you can power the indoor unit separate with its own power source.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
Now, baseband heaters are huge up my way. Right?
Oh yeah.
Some of our units, and it's unit specific depending on. I believe the hyperheat units have the baseband heaters in them, where other units do not.
Correct.
So you have to make sure if you're installing an M series or P series, and it's in a cold climate. I always say this for the people up in Maine and Vermont and New Hampshire, real brutal climates up there. You need that baseband heater to get rid of that defrost water, so it doesn't freeze in the bottom and clog your defrost hole and crush your coil and all of that. It can cause quite a mess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've seen coils with the bottom of the coil. You look at the fins have no damage whatsoever. But when you cut out the fins and you look at the pipe on that bottom row, crushed flat. Yeah. Right? So it's important. This is why the outdoor units, if a heat pump is going to go into defrost occasionally, so it's got to be raised up, and we'll talk about that in a little while. But it's got to be raised up off the floor, and that water has to leave or it's going to freeze. And the baseband heaters are just extra insurance, to prevent that water from freezing there and causing damage, and it's going to be super expensive.
And you still may need to do something to get that water to drain away. But like you said, I've worked up in New Hampshire for years and stuff, and I've seen the 180 bends on a condenser completely a half an inch away from the unit. The ice just completely moves it out. Ice is deadly.
The ice is very bad.
Yeah. Especially at my age.
Now, I always get this question out in the field. Can I mount a branch box outside? And they're talking bare branch box right on the side of the house. No,
not recommended for that. We do offer a branch box enclosure. I mean, ideally, we would prefer to be indoors. The branch box to be mounted indoors, in an attic or something like that. But there's some applications that it's not possible, so we offer the branch box enclosure. It's like a NEMA 4R box, and it gives protection to the elements. And if you have to use that application, then that's what it's for.
Yeah, it's not an uncommon thing down here to see them outside.
Oh yeah,
and it's real versatile. Yeah. I was looking at it on the display table here. Yeah. You can change the side in which the pipes come into that branch box enclosure and flip that around. So very customizable, which is cool. So there is that option for everybody that wants to mount them outside. And I really, I don't see the need for mounting it outside, but I guess some applications where, it could be tough to get a branch controller or branch box inside.
It might not have a basement. Right.
The other thing down here, we have such shallow pitches on our roofs. So you may only have 20 inches, as far as a
Okay,
ceiling,
yeah, good
above
point.
your ceiling, as far as a cavity, in your attic, if you want to call it that. So it's not an easy place to put them.
The only thing that concerns me about putting the branch box outside is what effect extreme temperatures would have on the refrigeration. If it's too hot, or up north, if it's wicked cold, how is that going to affect the operation of the system? That would be my only concern.
All right, let's move out. Go ahead, Trey.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
let's move to outdoor unit accessories.
Okay.
Wind baffles.
Okay.
Right, that's huge for low ambient cooling, especially on P series.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about it on P series, a PUI now with that wind baffle. Now you can in cooling you can cool up to minus 40-degree temps. So it's a good specification that we have for the PUIs. Without that wind baffle, you're not able to do that.
And why is that? Because the wind actually dictates the air.
Well, yeah,
moving through
that wind moves
Right.
in, turns the fan, reverses the fan flow, and then it, head pressure and affects those kind of things.
Yeah, because you could turn the fan
Yeah.
off, but if that wind's blowing, the fan might as well be on.
Yeah. And the other thing too is the fans dictating your CFM through that coil instead of the wind dictating that. So
And moving on to hail guards.
So hail guards, definitely in the south and southwest, or they're a big a need, because we can get it, hail up to quarter size hail, and it could be some
That'll
serious-
destroy a condenser coil
Yes,
in
yeah.
no time.
And then those aluminum, fins. I mean, it really can tear it up. So they just add protection for that. Our snow guards that we have with the engine units or city multi-engine units, they also offer hail protection as well. So they're sort of a snow/hail guard. But we're actually looking by request for a lot of the city multi people that we have, a lot of our sales have requested a lot of slimmer version hail guards that are not as bulky as the ones snow guards, because they just don't need that extreme wide guard itself. So they're talking about more of a slimmer option that we're working on with one of our local sheet metal vendors. That just they're slimmer fit, and they will work more for the Texas areas and the Floridas and any southern regions.
Just to digress here for a moment, you're all familiar with David Letterman, the late night
Yes.
host. Before he became famous, he used to be a meteorologist in the Midwest, and he got fired because he was forecasting hail the size of canned hams. So I just thought that was funny. That's actually true.
I know.
Okay, so hail and snow guards, and sometimes they do both.
Right.
Well, actually, it would be hail or snow guards, and sometimes they do both.
Yeah.
All right, so what's the difference between the low ambient kits and the wind baffles?
So the low ambient kits are strictly just for the engine operation.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
basically, they have they have a control box on them, and basically it's
Motorized damper?
Yeah, motorized
Okay,
damper, and it's,
right,
it's,
gotcha.
it's sensing the temperatures and whether it needs to close and keep that heat from the condenser.
That
And,
goes on top of the outdoor unit.
Correct.
So, and don't we have them in two styles in case a unit is twinned? We got twinned units. We got one with a motor mechanism on it, and
Yes.
another one you just tie in together with some linkage.
Correct. Yeah, so you have a linkage rod. Have a rod that just ties into the linkage, and then the driver, operates the secondary hood.
So you have adjustments, dip switches for that when you install that,
There are function settings.
Yes.
Yeah.
because that does change the static against that.
Yeah, so there are function settings that you can set to change the operation of the condenser fan motors.
Right,
and all
right.
that. Yeah.
The interesting thing about those is a couple of DSGs from the Caribbean told me that they'll install those down there in the Caribbean, and not for anything to do with low ambient condition, but to protect against coconuts falling from trees. Because
Yeah, I got some pictures on my computer from
Do you
coconuts.
really?
But
Because sometimes I don't know where he's
No.
going with these stories.
but
And I have to divide by 20, multiply by 0 for the truth.
That's absolutely true. These guys are telling me because the coconuts will come and damage the unit, but if they got those hoods on there,
Right, the coconut.
and not coconut. I don't know how much a coconut weighs, but
It's-
those trees,
Well, if
those
you
trees are
start
like
doing
60, 70 feet tall.
Newton's law, how fast does a coconut fall? It's not so much the fall.
I don't think Newton spent a minute figuring that out.
Well, did it with an apple. He did it with an apple. So just replace it with a coconut.
Anyway, we digress again. Okay, and then we talked earlier about raising up the units, a heat pump off the ground, especially in the wintertime. I think they should be raised up no matter what, because there's other things get in there. People love to bury units in bark mulch, and bark mulch eats away and is corrosive.
Yeah.
So what do we have for stands for both residential and commercial equipment?
So for residential, we have the wall bracketed stands that you could mount to the side of your home or building, and then we also have the mini split stands that go from 12 to 18 inches or some to 24 inches high.
Those are the quick slings.
Yes, and those are for your M&P series. And then now for City Multi, we have the super stands, the quick sling super stands for your engine units, but we also have the new Bigfoot stands that are coming out as well.
Those are pretty impressive.
Yeah.
They're sturdy, those things.
Very adjustable and customizable.
And you can add platforms as well to them if you need to, or a lot of different accessories they offer that you can add to that.
Oh, really? Okay.
And we did also talk about heaters, base pan heaters. So what's the difference between a base pan heater and a panel heater?
So the panel heater is just strictly just for the engine units. And they mount to the side of underneath the coil sections. So it's not underneath. You guys are more technical than I, so you may know more of the application.
Yeah, so they're not mounted to the bottom of the chassis. They're on the end gens. The drain pans are in the center of the chassis. So we want to make sure we melt any ice that may remain in that drain pan, and those are just like mullion heaters that go around the outside.
And they're right there at the level of the drain pans, just to keep an ice dam from forming or those kind of things. Yeah. So
one thing I like about some of the accessories, the
Can you
header,
not say Mitsubishi?
What's that?
You had a hard time saying Mitsubishi?
No, I was going to say Mitsubishi, but some of our accessories are built by a different manufacturer.
Right.
So headers and ball valves is we give the insulating clamshell piece that you can put onto the ball valve onto those headers. So for the insulator, whoever's insulating those lines, I used to insulate lines, and it's no fun.
That's a lifesaver.
It is.
But every branch controller, every branch box, lines coming into branch boxes should have ball valves.
Yes,
crazy not to put them in.
I even think you should put them on Y series. You should be able to valve off
Indoor units.
So if you're not using them, I strongly recommend it.
And they come with a little service port, quarter-inch service port on it. Face the service port toward the indoor unit. That way you can
on the unit side of the ball valve.
Isolate it, evacuate it, and then just add that charge without removing or recovering all the refrigerant from the unit just to make one repair. You got ball valves there.
Yeah, and you think about how smart, once again, they do add costs to the job. We understand that. But the fact is, like, you could have, 30 different heads on the unit, okay? And you put your 600 PSI like you're supposed to, and you come back the next day, you're at 400 PSI. Where is the leak? I mean, you kidding me? So, you close the ball, put your 600 PSI, close your ball valve, and then just come back and look at each circuit. If you're at 600, 350, there it is.
Yeah, you got a great way of isolating and process of elimination. You can figure it out quick.
Absolutely.
And even that for service later on down the road, you'll add some upfront costs with the ball valves.
Sure.
But if you've got to relocate an indoor unit, or you got a leak at an indoor unit, now you have to recover all of the refrigerant instead of valving it off. So
and that's the thing too. If you're doing a build out, you got projections down the road to do a build out as the company grows. Boom, you're right there. Most of the work is already done, because I've had students that told me their companies does that all the time, and then I get other students that have never done it. And they say, "Well, how do you figure out what the charge is?" And you just go back to DSP, add that one component, look at the difference of charge, and just add that little bit of refrigerant to it. So brilliant.
Yeah, and ball valves is the way to go. Strongly recommend them. And now we even offer the BC controllers with the ball valves already attached, so there's less labor for you.
So I was pretty excited a couple of years ago when I opened up Diamond System Builder, and I look and it says branch controller with ball valves, without ball valves, or pre-installed ball valves.
Right.
Whoa, this is a game changer, and the contractors love it.
Yeah.
No one loves to sit there and just
It's a lot of work.
They have to flow nitrogen and braze each ball valve, wrap everything with a wet cloth, make sure they don't burn anything. Now, my question, Trey, is Are we still selling the branch controllers without ball valves?
Yes,
Or-
yeah, we have both options.
Oh, okay.
So
Are we
we
always
have the
going to keep
pre-installed-
those options?
Yes,
Or-
I think so. Because
One, you're going to save money. One, you're going to save labor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had the value with, I mean, the labor rates are probably a whole lot more up north than they are down south, so they may want to, purchase the BC controllers and just do the ball valves themselves. The
Right.
good thing about the pre-installed ball valves is, they're checked in for leak tests and the helium test and
Yeah.
nitrogen test, so they're already checked for leaks, and all that should be pretty much out.
If it doesn't leak with helium in it, it's not going to leak with because the helium has the smaller particles.
Right.
So if it doesn't leak with helium, you're tight.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? We talked about snow guards and hail guards, but what's a snow rain diverter?
So snow rain diverters is some new product we come out with now. It's going to be for the M&P series. So basically, when you have elements that are super cold up north, and you have situations where you have a lot of snow accumulation on the rooftops, and
So you got like an overhang and
Correct.
icicles falling
right.
on you. I got
yeah.
you.
So when
Okay.
you have a day where the sun's out and it's up to 40s and it starts melting and dripping, what's happening in some of our applications is it's dripping on top of the outdoor unit, and then what's happening is overnight the temperatures drop back down to below freezing, and now you're creating an ice dam, and now it's locking up that fan. And so now if your fan's not working, then your unit's not working.
And those
So-
are the things that look like, to me, they remind me of a spoiler on an old sports car.
Yeah.
A little spoiler on that.
So those will be released, and the nice thing, they're aluminum, so in saltwater applications and those things, you don't have to really worry about rusting. So they'll be a good product, and also a good thing about it too is I know in the South and so that it's more for a northern regional product, but also if you have areas where you have to double stack M&P series units, now you can use those underneath, and now if you don't have to worry about condensation dripping on top of the unit.
Yeah, so when the unit on top goes into defrost, it's going to divert that away from it. Because
Yes.
I've seen that
Yeah.
happen where units have been stacked, and one will defrost and do exactly what you said a minute ago. Now the water that's on there freezes, and now that's never going to defrost.
Yeah, and it's just dripping down on the unit below. Now that it diverts the water away from there, so it's got, I think, a lot of different applications.
So there's one accessory I'm really curious about. So we're down here in Miami, and we're at the 2023 Diamond Contractor Summit. And there's a thing over there that looks like a cage that I might want to, well, if my kids were little, I'd want to put them in there.
Right.
But what is that thing?
So it's a security cage, and we're working on it as a prototype with our local sheet metal manufacturer. And so basically, in high theft areas and some big city areas where theft is quite common with the copper with copper cost and metal cost, and it's a big problem, and so it adds that extra security where you can lock it, but also it's nice because, and we're still working on the prototype, but where you can lift the sides of it to look at to work on the unit, and you can lift the top of it up and flip the top of the door all the way over. It gives a lot of different options where you can still access the unit. You know.
So it's got a base, and it comes in pieces in a flat box.
Right. It'll be flat packed.
So picture an M or a P series outdoor unit.
Right.
You've got this base. You put the base down. You put the outdoor unit in place. Then you got the corner post, and you got the walls, and you got the top. And you close the top, and there's a place there to put a padlock.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's going to make it hard for somebody to walk away. Because I've seen it, I think we've all seen it, where somebody comes along, they take a Sawzall, they cut the refrigerant lines, they cut
go
the
on, yeah.
wires, and see you later. It takes about 3 seconds
Right,
Yeah.
right.
to run out with that.
But I was over there looking at that. So you lift up the top on that because I'm like, oh my god, how you gonna get to the side? How you gonna when you lift up the top on that, you can pull all four sides out of that like in a minute. So then it just looks like a square box and would just corner, and it's exposed perfectly.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
brilliant.
Brilliant.
It is.
Outstanding.
It is.
Well, and the thing about it too, I think we're still in the prototype stage, but possibly like we set up with up north. I mean, if we make that top solid now, that a little bit of protection from the elements and the
That's a
snow
good idea.
and
Right
things
there.
like that
Two
as
birds,
well.
one stone.
Yeah. So
Two birds, one stone.
yeah.
Trey, any other accessories? Any other jump to mind we haven't talked about yet? We've talked about quite a few.
I think we've covered, there's still, we have the new E2O accessories. So we have our, your swing tanks, your storage tanks, and some of the new vendors we brought in with that as well. The, the swept heat exchangers, secondary heat exchangers. And then, we're coming out with a new skid as well. That's going to be a plug and play for that Heat 2.0, which I think is going to be very good for contractors and applications. I know service guys will be definitely liking it. So that's going to be good. And then we have the new HVRF product. And we have a lot of new accessories coming up with it as well. It's a hydraulic application, so it's a little bit different than what we're used to.
Yeah. And we'll be doing some episodes on that. We had Dwayne Barkley on a while back talking about the Heat 2.0. We'll probably bring him or you or both of you back to talk about the new skids. We'll be talking about the HVRF in upcoming episodes as we get closer to releasing that. So all good and exciting and interesting stuff coming down the road.
So definitely check out mylinkdrive.com to check out all of these accessories we talked about, most of these accessories that we talked about. You'll be able to go onto the website and click on accessories. And also, as Trey mentioned before, if you click on an outdoor unit, you'll get a list of accessories or indoor unit.
Yeah.
You'll get a list of accessories that are available. We show pictures of those accessories as well. You can just click on it. It'll take you right to that page, and you can download submittals and service manuals and whatnot for that. So, Trey, thanks for joining us on this podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Trey.
Thank
This
you.
is
Thank you.
great
Right along.
information for the guy in the truck. Appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, Trey.
Thank you
Take
for
care.
having me.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for listening.